Thomas stood at the bus stop in Islington, clutching a flyer about tomorrow's protest against rising inequality in the city. The chill of late autumn was biting, and the gray London sky hung low, pressing down on the streets below. His worn jacket and scuffed sneakers told stories of a life that had never been easy, but in his eyes burned a fire, a relentless desire to change the world around him. At 35, Thomas had seen enough to understand the cracks in society, the ways people were divided by class, culture, and fear. Yet, he held on to hope, however fragile, that things could be different. Aisha walked briskly past him, the vibrant scarf wrapped around her neck a stark contrast to the muted tones of the city. She was 34, the daughter of Pakistani immigrants who had come to London with dreams of a better life, but clung fiercely to tradition and strict expectations. Working as a nurse in a bustling hospital, Aisha balanced the competing demands of her career, her family's conservative values, and her own yearning for freedom. The weight of these expectations pressed heavily on her, making every step she took through the city feel like a quiet rebellion. Their worlds might never have collided if not for a moment of shared confusion and a simple question. Holding a complicated tube map in her hands, Aisha hesitated, unsure of the directions. "Excuse me, can you help me?" she asked, her voice soft but steady. Thomas looked up from the flyer and met her eyes. Something in her calm determination pulled at him. "Of course," he replied, stepping closer to peer at the map. Their conversation started with directions, but soon flowed into stories about their lives, their struggles, hopes, and the challenges of living in a city that often felt divided and unwelcoming. Thomas was struck by her honesty, and Aisha found comfort in his understanding gaze. Despite their different backgrounds, they discovered common ground, a shared desire for something more than the lives they had inherited. Over the following weeks, chance encounters became planned meetings. They would meet at small cafes tucked away in quiet corners of the city or walk along the Thames, talking about everything and nothing. Each meeting chipped away at the walls they had built around themselves. Thomas introduced Aisha to the world of activism, the protests, the debates, the long nights spent drafting petitions and speaking out against injustice. Aisha shared the delicate balance she maintained between her duties at the hospital and the unspoken rules imposed by her family. Together, they navigated a city alive with tensions, but also possibilities. Yet, the outside world was not as accepting as their private moments. Whispers followed them in their neighborhoods. Suspicious glances were cast by those who could not understand a love that crossed cultural and social divides. Thomas's friends warned him, sometimes bluntly, to be cautious. "She's not from our world," they said. Aisha's family grew colder with each visit, their concern morphing into silent disapproval that hung heavily in the air. One evening, her mother confronted her with tears in her eyes, pleading, "I just want you to be safe." "Safe from what?" Aisha had whispered back, her voice barely audible. "Safe from love." Despite the pressure, Thomas and Aisha held on to their relationship, though the strain sometimes brought arguments and moments of doubt. One particularly bitter night, after words were exchanged too harshly, Aisha left Thomas's flat, swallowed by the overwhelming weight of expectations and fears. Days passed with no word, and Thomas felt the city closing in around him, empty and gray without her presence. When Aisha finally returned, her eyes were tired but resolute. She admitted the struggle was greater than she had anticipated, but so was her love. "I want to keep fighting. For us," she said quietly, her hand finding his in the dark. Their love became a quiet act of rebellion, a testament to the possibility of unity in a city fraught with division. Months later, standing together on a small stage at the very protest Thomas had once held a flyer for, they spoke, not just for themselves, but for everyone caught between worlds, for those yearning to be seen and understood. The road ahead was uncertain. The city's fractures were deep, and the challenges far from over. But as they looked out at the diverse faces gathered around them, filled with hope and determination, Thomas and Aisha knew they were no longer alone. Together, they would continue to navigate the crossroads of love, identity, and belonging, building bridges where walls had once stood.